Hey, real estate agents, welcome to Making a Smarter Agent, your program to find out all the tips and trends as told by the great ones in real estate. What's a great one? Someone that's able to make money and still keep their head on straight. Let's face it, this is a tough business. We interview tough people who seem to make it look easy.
And welcome to Making a Smarter Agent. We've got a great show for you here today. We've got Rebekah. She is sensational, real winner in the Brooklyn, New York area. We're going to get into all that in just a minute. But for my ongoing listeners, those that are in Palm Beach County, I will be hosting a conference on February 18th at St. Andrew's Country Club. I've got two featured speakers. One of them is Bruce Toll, CEO of Toll Brothers Real Estate. And the other one, Howard Lauber, the chairman of Douglas Elliman, going to be talking. It's a rare opportunity to really hear from these guys. So if you find yourself in South Florida and want to go, the cost of admission is friendship. I do this just as a means of networking. I have events all the time. And also for the Douglas Elliman agents that are listening, please look out for my invitation. I will be having cocktails in New York City, and I'd love to see all of you. And with that said, I want to get right on to Rebekah. Rebekah, how are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Fantastic, fantastic. So
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, happy and healthy. And I should say Rebekah Carver. You know, I keep saying Rebekah, just we're on a first name basis here, so I don't want to miss that point. Rebekah, tell me a little bit about you, where you got started, and exactly how long you've been with Douglas Elliman, all that fun stuff. Give us the 10,000 foot view here.
Yeah, so my career started off in television. I was a television producer. However, I have two aunts who were deeply into real estate, so it was sort of background noise as a child, as a young adult, and then as a professional. And one thing led to another. I found myself pregnant, and I found lots of my mentors in television had sort of slowly gone off into real estate. And I had one mentor where, we were having lunch, and she said, you'd be great at this. And I said, yeah, that's funny. My aunts are all in real estate. I feel like these skills are very applicable, but I'm not ready. And she said, well, you have to be ready. And so every 6 months...
You have to be ready. There's no choice. You must be ready, Rebekah.
You do. You have to be ready.
Sure. Let me ask you, what year was this?
This was 2006.
Okay. So in the scheme of things, not that long ago. I mean, 14 years, yeah, but still, because, as we get into this, we'll see that you're a top producer within the company here. Everyone in the family, even the sociologist said you ought to do this. You get into this, you find out that, lo and behold, there's a lot of crappy brokers out there, and you know that you could do better. And this is not an unusual story, unfortunately. There's a lot of people who said, yeah, I could do that.
It looks easy.
$1 million listing. It's great. They always love to show the, $300,000 commission sale, and now it's go off for blinis. So life is great.
Right. Right.
But we know that there's an awful lot of work. When you said that you were in production, you were an actual producer, or what were you doing?
Yeah, I was a freelance television producer. So I worked a lot with ABC, CNN, and then a lot of small shops where a lot of producers at the larger companies started their own smaller companies. And it was at one of those smaller companies that I met Pam Wolf, who then later, became a real estate agent at Corcoran. And so, I thought I was going to go to work for Corcoran. And my neighbor, I said, hey, I'm thinking I'm going to get into real estate now. And my neighbor said, well, go get your license and you've got a job. And I was like, well, I'm not sure. I think I'm going to go work for a big company. And, she kind of needed the help because she was still a full-time professor. So I ended up working there. She had a partner at the time. And I in the first week, I sold my first place, and then
Wow.
they were the clients were musicians. And funny enough, I had done a lot of work in television on musicians. And this was just like a fluke. There wasn't really a correlation, but so that couple kind of told all of their friends about their purchase, and my phone was ringing that whole month. And so that first month, I sold 4 properties to musicians.
Sold 4 properties. Well, when you say sold, you went into contract?
They went into contract. Yep,
yeah,
they went
okay.
into contract.
So good. So it's great when one has success early on. Was that able to be maintained? Did you have any stumbling blocks as you went forward? And was it a rude awakening the following quarter to find that you're not able to keep up with 4 sales a month, or was it just a rocket ship?
Well, it's a little bit of both. I mean, the job, even 15 years into it, you have great months and you have down months. So that's just part of it. But I definitely acknowledge that there was some luck to that. But I also realized that I had a lot of instincts for the job. And you work hard and people like you and you do well by them. And, and that just takes on its own force.
Sure. When did you join Douglas Elliman?
So that was, I know the exact date. It was June 21st, which was the summer solstice of 2017. We had this company for 15 years or 14 years, and then Douglas Elliman acquired us.
Okay. So it was through the merger. Now I got that. Had you always been in Brooklyn?
No, I've been all over the city. I've lived in Queens. I've lived in all parts of Manhattan. I've lived in Brooklyn, many neighborhoods. My first 10 years that I lived here, I moved every single year. So I know the city pretty well. Sure.
And but still today, the majority of your business is in the borough of Brooklyn. Is that accurate? Or
It's the majority, absolutely. But I basically, when people ask me where I work, I said anywhere that has a zip code. Because if there is someone that needs to do a transaction in Wichita, I'll find a broker there and do a referral. And, because we're at Douglas Elliman, we have so many offices all around the country. Plus, we have our partnership with Knight Frank. It just makes it like this wonderful web of doing business all over.
It's interesting because you're obviously very connected, and it makes sense that the production end yielded these entertainers for you. So, I'm curious to know, you're mentioning Wichita and some other foreign territories. What percent of your business is just direct referral, where you just pass the lead, or that you are able to make a referral? Or if you can't say percentage, how many referral deals are you pushing out there?
I should probably track that a little bit better. I don't know. I would say this year, 10%.
Wow. Okay, that's a lot. If
it's right, I'm going to have to go do my math. You've given me some homework.
Yes. Okay. That'll be for the sequel here.
Right.
Let me ask you this. Okay, so you got lucky in the beginning, but you worked really hard. Luck is when intellect and effort meet circumstance. I forgot who said that, but clearly I don't like putting anything to luck because it takes away from the hard work and the stuff that you so richly deserve. What actually, since this podcast is listened to by so many agents, what makes your phone ring? What kind of advice would you give to actually get buyers or sellers to just call?
Well, I think having an integrity in the job goes a long way. If you have integrity, even if you don't, you're working with a buyer and they end up moving to London, and you don't make the sale in Brooklyn or in the city, they'll realize like, oh, that, she really had integrity. And that sort of spreads. So I think integrity and work ethic, I'm a workaholic, so.
Sure. but still, like, for example, I have a podcast. I do a lot of lecturing. I have cocktail parties. I have the big event coming up, and that's
I think it's great. By the way, I know. I love what you do. I think it's so great. You know.
Thank you.
This podcast and all of your events. It's excellent work. So good job.
Thank you. And I really do enjoy doing it. And
I can tell.
On the flip side of it, it really does lead to business opportunities. So I'm just curious, do you hire any marketing services or have any support or some type of advertising? You know, that's I'm just curious.
Well, that's a broad bank to cover. So I've been doing all of my own marketing. I just actually interviewed a woman yesterday to sort of outsource the marketing. So I'm probably going to lean in that direction. I understand the importance of marketing. It's something that I feel a little uncomfortable with. It's not my natural, just doesn't come naturally to me. I get it. Yeah. I understand. It's very important, but it's one of those things where I sort of feel a little stagnant or stumped. And I do think I need to just kind of pass it over to someone who's like, I got this. This is all I do is eat, live, and breathe marketing.
It's very interesting because the top producers oftentimes have the same answer to me, that it's almost as if the business becomes the next natural step in the relationship with someone. They bring up their integrity and they bring up, it's like, well, how does the phone ring? Well, it really is those past relationships. And let's face it, if it could be bottled, the guy that could figure that out or the woman that could figure that out could be the richest person on earth. But, there is something that's not understood. But let me go on. Let me ask you, what do you suppose, would you consider yourself a listing agent, a selling agent? What percentage of your business is what?
Well, I mean, every year the tides can turn a little bit. I'd say for the past 3 years, I definitely focus more on the list side. Maybe 20% of my business have been buyers this year, but it's been predominantly listing.
I see. Okay, that's.
But that changes, that changes with the market being, the way it is right now. I may be advising more of my clients to sort of stay put. And, if they don't need to sell, it might be in their best interest to sort of ride this time out. And then, I would be focused more on buyers, but it changes all the time.
Sure. Do you see 2020 as a real challenge?
It's really hard to have an 8 ball on what's going to happen this year. It's real, it's just different. It's just it's a very different market. It's softened. Buyers are very hesitant. There's nothing really motivating them to sort of make a move right now, unless like they're having another baby or there's a big event. It's just there's nothing like really, there's not a lot of fire under their butts. So yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit of a challenge, but those are some good moments to kind of dig in deep and get creative and, figure out how to tweak the business plan, how to operate a little bit differently. I mean, I went through 2008 and, that was challenging, but I remember I made $1,200 more than I made in 2017 or 2007. So I was like, all right, well, that's good. I'm making money. I'm not losing money. And then 2009, I think I made, $2,500 more. So I was like, all right, I'm in the right direction. And then of course, like 2010, got busy again.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that there's going to be some retweaking here, but it's also sort of a good opportunity. I have some people that are upgrading right now.
Sure.
They found a house that the sellers really just needed to get rid of, and so they're selling their co-op apartment and they're buying a 2-family home, and will have tenants and make some money.
So Brooklyn's still hot.
is. I mean, it's all good. It's just different. It's slower, so you have to sort of manage the tempo a little bit more. It's, you're not going to have someone come into your open house and give you an offer right away.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a different tempo.
Different tempo, and you're the conductor, and you have to take the orchestra in the right direction.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Or the Tai Chi teacher.
If you want to get so earthy, sure, let's do the Tai Chi. I always like that. I want to jump in on those things. Do you have a team? Are you working with a team right now?
I don't. I have an assistant.
Okay.
When I had my own business, we had a group of agents working for us. But yeah, I just have an assistant. He does a lot. He helps with all of the admin stuff, shows properties for me.
So he's licensed.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. And how long have you been working with him?
It has been, it's been a year. He, actually, I think it's got to take him out for dinner.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of that type of thing. If you can really keep, the camaraderie going and make everyone see that tomorrow is going to be brighter than today, even if today was really bright, I think that's a really great thing. And I'm sure it's fun to work with you. It seems like it would be anyway.
That's nice.
That's true. Yeah, I could see you seem very easy to do business with. Now, that said, you could be a barracuda, because I haven't done a deal with you yet, and I hope I can. But you seem.
I'd love to do a deal with you. No, I'm very fair. I'm very easy. I do not appreciate it when there's people are slacking. I don't, and I will say something. I will say, hey, you're not pulling your weight. We're doing this deal together. I mean, I just had this with someone. I just said, listen, you just handed me this sloppy board package. You haven't been present at any of the showings. I'm chasing you for answers. You need to show that, you respect me. So I'm very easy, but I definitely will say something if, something isn't in line. Absolutely.
Sure. Absolutely. All this said, you got all these deals. Want to mention that you were number one within Douglas Elliman in Brooklyn in 2017 or 18? 18.
Yeah.
2019 has not been reported yet, so we'll keep that big surprise.
Right.
As we do have surprises. Your wife, your mother, you got a very full life. I mean, how do you handle the work-life balance? I know a lot of agents struggle with that.
It is a struggle. It's certainly a very tough part of the job. My kids have been around where we're in the middle of activity and I have to take a call, or I have to go, I have to cancel something last minute. So it's a tough part of the job. And a lot of people don't really see that, but, you try and, I really try and take Saturdays off. There's probably 6 weeks out of the year where I'm working Saturdays, and I'm doing that because it's absolutely necessary to get some deal done. But I really try and carve out that time for my family and also just for me, just to have one day that's down. I mean, it's not that I'm not answering my phone or returning emails. I absolutely am, but I try and save that day so that I'm not running around to appointments.
Yeah. Look, listen, it's. I think it makes you better, not worse. I mean, the point is, you've got to have some type of balance. Otherwise, what the hell are we doing any of this for? I mean,
right? No, absolutely. What's the point if I can't spend one day with my children going to their games and, just hanging out and talking to them? Yeah.
Absolutely. The rage, and I don't know how I work out of Florida. I'm actually speaking to you in the Palm Beach office right now.
Lucky.
Lucky. It's beautiful here. Yes. I'm not so lucky. When the windows are down and the sunroof is open, sometimes I get a little too tan.
Oh.
So I know how you. Yeah,
it's so hard.
But one of the things that is a concern down here when selling houses, things that are not condominiums and not co-ops, are the iBuying services, these purple bricks. Well, that's now out of the question. Or these different FSBOs and all the services and everyone comes to you knowing they feel like they're a real estate agent because they found it on Zillow. Do these things scare you? Is that a threat to us, or at least in Brooklyn? Is that a threat to agents that are there?
It's just it's part of the business. I think purple bricks just kind of went belly up in New York.
They did.
So not surprising. I mean, listen, it happens. Like I have had clients where I thought were pretty loyal, and I go in and I, tell them how to put their property together so they can get their best price, and, spend a lot of time. I mean, I even, someone this summer, I spent a good part of 6 months on the phone with him, and then he came back to Brooklyn. He had no furniture, and I gave him an air mattress and a little bean bag so he could have a place, to sleep in, sheets and the whole 9 yards. And then after our discussion, he decided he was going to list with one of these, I can't even remember. It was a new one. So I was a little taken aback, but it's still on the market, and it, doesn't surprise me.
Well, look, the biggest mistake an agent makes is by then saying, there's somebody who's in my community and I keep getting deals, because he just blows up when the customer goes with another agent, and he would have been that second guy on deck.
Right.
But he ends up saying, I can't believe you went with Joe Schmidlap. That's obviously a made-up name.
Right.
And then when that listing expires unsold, well, Edmund Bogan is there. And, know, so I don't know why people make enemies out of their lead sources, sphere of influence, potential customers, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, you can. I mean, listen, it's a super hard business, as you know. And like I said, you can think you have clients that are loyal, and then it turns out they're not. And, you can have some hard emotional blows and business blows, but you have to remain professional, and you have to, remain the advisor. You sort of can't fault everyone for just, if someone's sale margin is going to be so low, and, you can't fault them for going to the candy store and having this online, company claim that they're going to get them X, and it's only going to cost them Y. You can get it. But ultimately, I really do think that the whole sales process is really a people process. There's so much going on. It's emotional, it's investment, and you really need a very skilled advisor to help you through all of those parts.
Sure. Well, last couple of questions here. I mean, I told you these podcasts go by very fast, and this has been a lot of fun. I want to know, if you had to give advice to your future self, if you had to give advice to yourself when your younger self, when you'd gotten started in the business, what advice would that have been?
I think, the path I took was great, and it worked very well for me. So you can't really regret anything. But I do think if I was a new agent today, I would jump on a team and learn as much as I could for, 5 years. And then you could choose to stay on the team or go to another team. But I think doing it on your own as a newbie is really hard.
Sure.
And you don't learn as much, If you're on a team that's doing a lot of volume, you're going to learn so much. And, it takes a good 4 to 5 years for your first buyer to turn into a seller. So, you really, in the meantime, you want to be working with someone that's got a lot of listings, learning as much as you can, making as many contacts as you can. So then when it comes around to that 4 or 5 year mark, you're really set up. You're really positioned in a great way.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, listen.
This has been a blast. I'm grateful that you were able to participate in my podcast. I would love to, thank you. And I would love to get together, and next time I'm in New York and meet up, get lunch or something. And I certainly hope to see you at the upcoming event in March.
I will certainly see you there. And yes, if you do come to New York, please let me know. I'd love to get together.
Thank you for listening to Making a Smarter Agent. Do me a favor. If you liked Making a Smarter Agent, please go to Apple Podcasts or any of the podcast services you might be listening through and give me 5 stars. I look forward to seeing you next time. And remember, connect with Rain Nation, that's RAIGNATION, on Facebook. It's part think tank, part group therapy for realtors, all coaching, and it's affordable. Please tune in again next week to listen to another exciting episode of Making a Smarter Agent.